Alright. There we go. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing okay. Or today, at the very least. Hello. Hey, Anna, how are you doing this morning? I hope you're doing really well. Woo! Been a while, I'm sure, but hopefully you had a wonderful spring break. So hopefully you had a chance to relax a little bit. I've had a very interesting break. My sleep schedule got all messed up, but I'm back to normal. Took a while, though. That's what happens when you game a little too much, you know? Alright. We have a... Oh, hey, Ashley. How are you doing? Hey, Wade. How you doing, my friend? It's been a hot minute. That's true, my friend. It's been a hot minute. It's been over a week and a half or so, but I'm glad to see you back. Hopefully you had a nice break there. Ashley on a different account. I like that, though. Animal Crossing. That's very good. I'm very good, Ashley. How are you doing? Cheska, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. I hope you're doing really well this morning. Hopefully things were good for your break there. I hope everything was going lovely. So, very, very important. Reading some stuff here on the Discord. Let's see here. I'm assuming that some of you are having issues with my math lab. Hey, Athena, how are you doing this morning? I hope you're doing really, really well. I hope things have been doing really, really well today for you. I hope your break went really great. All right. It's good. Hopefully everybody is refreshed for this second half of this semester. So we're officially, well, we're actually more into the second half, but still, nevertheless, I got things caught up. I got things done. I actually accomplished things. It was important. Let's see. How many of you have experienced my math lab issues? Currently, I know a lot of you have been saying that on Discord and stuff, so... So my question is, why procrastination station, guys? I know you guys sent me an email, but why procrastinate until the last minute? I gave you a week and a half to finish. My math lab was working for a majority of that time. Just saying. I've gotten a lot of emails the past 2 days about you know, my math lab there. You had a great first stream? Wonderful. You're officially a Twitch streamer. Wow, there you go. Okay. Alright, that's fair. That's fair. But I see a lot of procrastinators there. I mean, hey, I've been in procrastination station plenty of times, mind you. But you gotta be like, you know, things like that happen, they can happen, right? Hey, there you go. Look, you got new followers there, Athena. What are you streaming, Athena, by the way? Out of all curiosity. Good thing you did your test. Yeah, right? Oh, you did some Warzone? Be streaming a bit of everything? Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I saw your email there, Abby. Yeah, a lot of people have been having issues with my math lab there, doing their work at the last minute. Yeah, my math lab is having issues the past 2 days. Is it Athena? Is it at the same Athena 493? Your page there? I see. Let's check a gander. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and put that on the go ahead and put a link there. There you go. There's a link for you. I threw you a follow. Your videos will automatically save in the videos tab. Unless they don't. Unless you have like a way. All right. Oh, okay. that's fine. That's fine. Oh yeah. That's fair. Uh. Yeah, if you're doing Warzone, that's fine. I played a lot of Cold War this weekend, so I've been having a lot of fun playing Cold War. I'm doing some multiplayer action, playing you also used the week to study there, Shimena. Okay. Today I got some ginger ale, Boris. Today is some ginger ale, my dude. You play zombies and prop hunt in Cold War? Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I know. I ain't gonna lie, it's true. It's a very toxic relationship. Sometimes you're gonna play really good, and sometimes you're just gonna get absolutely blasted. That's a very good question. Parasocial relationships, I mean, if you identify with that Twitch streamer, it's like identifying with a celebrity sometimes, like you see yourself with a singer or you see yourself with a celebrity there. Yeah, I'm gonna I'll make an announcement in regards to that, Abby. Uh I think it's just like a celebrity. It's like somebody you connect with, you know, somebody you feel like you need that can understand you, you know. I don't think you need that all the time, though. I think you need to also, you know, while you can derive inspiration from somebody, I hope that you go and explore things for yourself and find your own conclusions as well. So I think a parasocial relationship is important. I mean, it's good to have somebody you necessarily look up to see a source of inspiration, but you should also go and do that yourself, you know, as well. You shouldn't have to rely on one person sitting in front of a screen all the time to get validation. You should be able to try and do that yourself as well. So, you got that chip sphere. Fair enough, fair enough. I always tell people to think for themselves as much as the next person, to be perfectly honest, because it's very, very important for you in your life, where you're not having to validate yourself through someone else. You can do it for yourself. Hey, Sammy G, how you doing, my friend? Thanks, Sammy, my friend. Okay. All right. Self-love does come first. I want you to understand, if you watch my channel, I love you all. You guys are great, okay? I want you to believe that too, but you don't need to tell me that. I don't need to tell you that. I want you to tell yourself that. I want you to validate yourself, and knowing and feeling confident in what you're doing is giving you personal positive progress in your life. If my advice helps you in that regard, then this parasocial relationship is very good. If it doesn't, okay, if it's not if it doesn't, but if it helps you get there slowly, a little bit by a little bit, then that's great. That's exactly what I want you to do. If not, then maybe that's just thing. But that's what I want to promote here, at least in my channel. Cool Dad, hello, good morning, good morning. Ziggy, how you doing this morning? Good morning to you, good morning. Let's get this going here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta get started here with some stuff. All right, let's do this. We got a lesson to do here. Let's get going here. We got things. Yes. Woo, man. All right, so looks like we've had issues. All right. Hey, that's right. All right, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do some intros. We got some stuff we got to talk about. All right. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back, everybody, to Monday. Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful spring break. All right. Now, as I've heard here, things aren't so wonderful on one front, and that wonderfulness has not come in the form of my math lab because of many people doing procrastination station and taking the ticket and trying to do it today. But my math lab says no. Okay. It says call me on my cell phone. So unfortunately, my math lab has been down, up and down for the past, I believe, 24 hours. So it's been down for a few hours, and up for a few hours, and down for a few hours. So I'm gonna check my login here. All right. So here I am. I am going to actually switch screens here. Switch screens here for a second. Ba-bam, here we are on my math lab. All right, so some of you are having issues with my math lab here. Again, go ahead and try and get into this thing here, if I can. But we'll see if yeah, it's running really slow. So I want to confirm this like in real time, because it's just a lot easier to see what the current status of things are. So just to give you guys a fair shake in terms of what you guys are sending me in terms of current information. So yeah, this thing is running awfully slow. Now, they did say that there was some connection degradation as I checked on the down detector kind of thing that they have on the Pearson site. So I wanted to see exactly how things were working out there. Oh, yeah, it's my math lab. It's by Pearson there. Now, let's be. Yeah, this is super slow. All right, this is super sketchy. That's no bueno. All right. Well, let's see how fast I can get into this here. All right. Am I going to get into this at all? Well, that's not good. Hmm. That can't be good. Uh-oh. We have issues. Can't get that in all? Try another tab. What doesn't work in one tab works in another tab. Megan's like, oh my god. Holy smokes. Alright, I finally get in, but not without some niggling. Oof. Alright. So this kind of gives me pause here about what needs to have happen. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, that's fair, that's fair. Yeah, 64, okay, which is very good, but it also included my first attempt on the test, which was okay. So you should have gotten your 79 there, Ziggy. So your best attempt. Your best attempt is what I record as a score. So it automatically takes out your first attempt, and then your best score is what gets left in. Okay. So all right. So I don't know when this is going to be fixed. Okay. So let's be honest here. Now that I'm seeing what you guys are seeing in terms of like it literally being dead. So it literally is dead. Like there is nothing happening. Holy cow. All right. Dead. Why would I go to course home? That would be the same thing I didn't want in the first place. Okay. All right, let's go here. Can I go here? Is this a thing? Can I do that? Is this a possibility? All right, we'll find out. Yeah, so your best score is always recorded on every test. So if you don't score that well the first go round, but the second go round you score well, then that's fine. All right. No, I believe you, Kristen. I believe you. I've known you for a semester and a half. A good 7 months of your life. Okay, I believe you. I totally believe you. All right. So I'm gonna need to make a decision here, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty bad. All right. Yeah, nobody's gonna get anything done with this. Not even procrastination station. You'll have no control over it. We need to be the fairest possible. Okay. All right. So let me make a decision about this because I wanted to check this in real time. This is not working appropriately as it's supposed to. So it should take out your bad attempt. So to be perfectly honest with you, that's fine. I can always manually check your grades as well, Ziggy. So if you bring it to my attention there, I'd be like, oh, hey, check my thing. I'll check your thing. It should save the best one, though, in all honesty. Okay. So, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm gonna make a live announcement here. This is not an announcement that get always manually. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Just throw me an A. I mean, I could. I mean, it's not hard. I mean, the only difference between an A and an F is all of like 3 seconds, because that takes that's the maximum amount of time between A and F on a keyboard. Okay, so that's pretty much how that works. But let's make an executive decision here. Uh, so I will have the test. I'm going to extend this test due date because of the issues there. Um, is what day is that now? Sure that's right. Test due date here will be in 2 days. All right. So once I have access to change that, which may be later tonight here, I'll make an executive decision here. I'm going to extend the due date here out 2 days at 11:59. So that'll be Wednesday. Um, so Wednesday, yeah, I'll extend it out because of the technical issues with my math lab. As soon as I have a chance to actually change it, because I can't physically change it myself, because they're having server issues whatever's going on over there. Obviously, nobody has any control over. So let's be fair here. This has nothing to do with you guys. This has nothing to do with me. It has whatever's going on. Whatever's going on their end is going on their end. And hopefully they can fix it by today. If not, then maybe tomorrow. But just in case, I'll shove it back another day to Wednesday, so that way they can sort out whatever they need to sort out. And then you'll have a chance to finish up whatever you need to finish up. So I'll extend it out a couple days here due to technical issues. All right, to be as fair as possible here, and then we should be good to go. All right. Hopefully everybody is okay with that. I think some of you have studied, or some of you have studied at the last minute. No, that's okay. You know. So yeah. So that should hopefully be helpful there. Any questions about that? It's just again just a couple days here. We'll see how things are in a couple days. I expect things to be back to normal in a couple days, but I'm pretty sure that they're handling this issue right now. They're probably getting a bunch of complaints from a bunch of people. So, is that for the homework too? Yes, because you can't access anything. I can't access a thing. So, I'll extend out the homework and the test to be due on Wednesday instead once I get access to this. So hopefully they fix it by today, and I'm gonna see if they'll fix it by this afternoon. Extend out the due dates a couple days. So there you go. Well, Dad's like, yeah. All right. Any questions about that, guys? Any questions? Yeah. Sorry about the issues there. I know. At least you should. At least if you're gonna do it at the last minute, at least you should have access. Otherwise, at least you should have a chance. A chance. If we're not given any chance, and then we got a problem. Then we have a problem indeed. So there's a big problem. Because then I agree that that's not fair. So hey, I understand the circumstances. It's not like I would prefer that you guys did earlier in the week, and for those people who did, they don't have to worry about it. But um, I gave you until today, later tonight, and if you don't have a chance to actually finish it physically, then yeah, that's definitely not fair either. So um, yeah, they got to be fair for everyone. So all right, let's get on to the new material today. That's what we got to do. We got to do new stuff. All right. Eventually, I got to get around to doing the actual material here today. And well, we'll get around to doing one section here today once again. All right. Yeah. So, or if the problem persists until tomorrow. So, if the problem persists until tomorrow, that's fine. I will extend it out as necessary. That's why I'm extending it out to Wednesday there, Heide, because of the fact that uh, yeah, I'm extending it out to Wednesday there, Heide, because of the fact that it could persist until tomorrow. So you'll still have that extra like day and a half or two, to finish. So if it does persist, then yeah, it'll expire, but then I'll just extend the date once I get access to whatever I got. So yeah, a lot of people had issues, so it's not. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna leave you leave you hanging like that's not how it rolls. I promise, okay? It's not how it rolls, right? Alrighty. Okay. So, what section is this, Cool Dad? Cool Dad is in the title. The title says section 8.2, right? I put the title in there, my dude. I mean, I don't have like great titles to my videos here, but I promise you, this section 8.2. Yeah. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get going here. About 15 minutes in, I actually got to do something. All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing the newest section here, which is section 8.2. Just to let you know, we're in the home stretch of things, okay? So we're going to finish up chapter 8 here today with section 8.2. We have chapter 9, chapter 10, and chapter 4, which will consist the last 4 chapters of the textbook that we're going to be doing. And then after that, we're going to be discussing, of course, the last test and then the final exam. So we got like a month and a half left to go, and we'll be finishing up those 4 chapters. Those aren't super long chapters, I assure you, but we'll get that stuff done, and that'll be the end. So yeah, it's pretty much getting up to be crunch time here. So we're in the home stretch here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So today we're going to finish up chapter 8 here, which is section 8.2. Section 8.2 deals with a new topic, all right, but uses the same normal distribution that we've been using here from before, just with a slightly different context. All right, so today we're going to be talking about sample proportions, okay? We talk about sample proportions here. Now, this is not the only section we're going to be dealing with sample proportions. We're going to be seeing this actually at the beginning here of chapter 9, and we'll also see it in a couple subsequent chapters as well in chapter 10. Actually, no, we'll see it in chapter 10, maybe not chapter 4, but chapter 10 for sure. In any case, let's talk about what a sample proportion is. So how do we find the sample proportion / population proportion? All right, so first and foremost here, this is going to be question 1 on your handout because I just borrowed my 120 handout for this. But this will be question 1 here. How do we find the sample proportion / population proportion? Well, the population proportion here, at least the notation here, is going to be P. P is what we call the population proportion. And the notation here for sample proportion is going to be P hat. So if you do see that in the textbook there, you're referencing, some of the, help me view this example sort of deal, you'll understand what the difference between P and P hat is going to be, as P is the population proportion, P hat is what we call the sample proportion. Now, P hat here basically is like saying you ask a question. Okay, let's say you ask a survey question. You say, "Hey, do you like brand A?" All right, and of course you could ask people, it's like, "I like brand A," and they could say, "Yes, I like brand A." "No, I don't like brand A." I'm like, "Oh, I'm indifferent to brand A." Fine, seems fair. Now, the way it works is that you basically will have n, the same n that we've talked about before, which is the sample size. Okay, you're going to ask a bunch of people. Fine, seems fair. All right. Now, some of those people are going to say yes to your question. Now, I put yes in quotations because that could differ depending on the context of the question that you ask, okay, and the study that you're doing it over. So, the number of people who said yes to your question, or whatever the case may be. So that would be what this X here represents. So it says, for example, 400 out of 1,500 people said yes to your question that you like brand A. Okay, so 400 would be that X that you see there, for example. All right. Now, what is important here in this particular case is the next couple of questions here that we're going to take a look at. So let's take a look here at what a standard deviation of a sample proportion is going to be. Now, if you remember, I know this is about a week and a half ago, so let's give you a friendly reminder. A week and a half ago, we talked about just sampling distributions. Now, this is from the first section here. This is where these questions came from. But we made that adjustment here in section 8.1 where we did like the population standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size to change our standard deviation in a sampling distribution. So we just made that one adjustment in Normalcdf, and then we just went ahead and said, okay, normal CDF and inverse norm, we said, okay, here's the new standard deviation with a sample size given. Now, underneath a population with a actual proportion given, like a population proportion or sample proportion, how do we adjust the standard deviation in this case? Well, here is how it works. We take the square root of the entirety of the population proportion times 1 minus the population proportion, all right, all divided by the sample size here at the end of the day. So that's the one big difference here between section 8.1 and 8.2 is now we have another different formula here for standard deviation underneath this idea using proportions. Okay, so this is just with proportions here. Okay, so the question really becomes, is this? Okay, and this is where we're going to put all of this together here. And I know this lesson will go by a little bit fast because I know exactly how this is going to work out. But we talk about the central limit theorem for proportions. So the way it works is the larger that the sample size is going to be, the more the sample proportion will resemble a normal distribution. So what this basically means that if n is pretty large, then we could go ahead and just say, hey, here you go. It's going to look more and more like a normal distribution, which means that we can still use our normal CDF and inverse norm that we did from before without any worries, no problems. Now, of course, there's some contingencies along with that here. First of all, we acknowledge that in order for this to happen, we have to have a sufficient large enough sample size. As we talked about before in the past, having like 10, asking 10 people means absolutely nothing. Okay, if we're trying to see who likes brand A or whatever. All right, that doesn't tell me what everybody thinks about brand A. 10 people is not going to effectively tell me anything. I'm going to need to have a pretty large sample size here, so maybe I need to ask 100 people, 500 people, whatever. As long as I have this guy here, np times 1 minus p is bigger than or equal to 10. This is basically a nice little metric for us to make a big enough sample size here to make it meaningful on some level. Okay, so in order for me to claim that it's normal in shape, I gotta first make sure that this is true. The second thing I have to make the assumption of is that for the sample proportion is going to equal the population proportion. So you say, okay, well, whatever the population proportion is, assume that it's going to work here for the sample proportion, and say that they're the same. Hey, Alfie, how you doing, my friend? And then, of course, the adjusted standard deviation at the end of the day that we use the formula for, and there we go. And that's all we have to do for that. Now, so all we're going to be doing here is simply put, okay? All we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and set up the same things that we've done in the past, chapter 7 and section 8.1. This is essentially all we're going to be doing. Let me go ahead and show you here on the paint tool here. Is we're just going to be setting up our normal CDF kind of stuff here. So we'll be setting, again, normal CDF. Now we're going to be making a couple of, can you go about? Yeah, sure, Athena. Here you go. All we're going to be making and doing is, if you remember for normal CDF here, we have remember we have lower, we have upper, right? This is our standard MO here for our guy. We have the mean and standard deviation. So that's our standard MO on our calculator there without too much trouble. Okay, so we'll be using the calculator here once again. Now, in this particular section, all we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using normal CDF, only we're just going to make a few adjustments here. Now, since we're dealing with proportions here, we're going to be dealing with percentages. Now, dealing with those percentages means we go from 0 to 100%. We're never going to go outside of those two things, okay? So from 0 to 100%. So you could either put 0 and the upper here. So we're not using like the minus 1e to the 99 or 1e to the 99. We're just using 0 and the upper. We could put p here is going to be our mean. And then our standard deviation is what we're going to put out here as our last guy. Okay. So we could have this, or we could have this. We could have, again, the lower, comma 1, comma p, comma the square root of p times 1 minus p over n. Okay, so you could have this. Or again, you could have somewhere in between as well. You could have lower, upper, and the two things. So you have the two, let's say you're trying to find between two percentages. You have lower, upper, and then p, and then all this stuff. So this is essentially what I'm showing you here. Oops, you need to do that. What I'm showing you here is basically what you'll need to enter into your calculator here if you're doing normal CDF for those guys. So all right, so that isn't honestly, that isn't too hard. I don't feel that that's too tough. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think most of you probably understand that about what we're going to be doing, so that's fine. So when we work with actual numbers here in just a second, then you'll know exactly how to deal with that. Let me check that here real quick. And then yeah, and then if you're doing like inverse norm, for example, so let's say we go to inverse norm here. So if you do inverse norm here, you're doing whatever the area is that you're trying to find. P, comma, the square root of whatever this. Okay. All right, so this is basically the general overview about what we're doing here today. All right, and that's all essentially that we're doing here for these questions. We just have to identify a few things here, put the numbers in the right places, bada bing, bada boom, we got ourselves a winner. All right, we're not going to be doing anything different than that. All right. Any questions about that so far? Any questions? All right. Well, okay. All right. So, ooh, all right. So normally I would show you a book question here, but my math lab's not working. So, does that say inverse norm? Yeah, this says inverse norm down here. Cool, Dad. Yes. Now, despite this, despite my math lab not working here, we can always type out our question. That's perfectly fine. So let's do an example here. I'll add it to our right here. All right. The example here from section 8.2, this will be number 17. So number 17 on page 385. Okay. So I'll type this out here, and then we can work on this together, and we can see exactly what we have. Okay. Okay. So it says, according to a study done by the Pew Research Center, all right, 39% of adult Americans believe that marriage is now obsolete. Okay. All right. So, according to the Pew Research Center, 39% of Americans believe that marriage is now obsolete. All right. So, we're going to answer a few parts to this particular question here, and we'll say we'll we'll see how things work out. So let's try this first one here. What is the probability that in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, less than 38% believe that marriage is obsolete? Okay. It kind of is, not gonna lie. You think marriage is obsolete? That's very interesting. Think marriage is not worth your time. I asked. I've done this question before. I've asked before. Do people think marriage is obsolete? It's a very interesting question, actually. It's good for taxes. That's true. But do you feel like getting married is really all that necessary? You take away the taxes part, for example, but I mean, is it do people feel, says the married person, right? Let's I'm gonna do that there. Let's put a poll. Let's put a poll for this question here. I got some interesting responses last time for this question. Put a quick 1-minute poll there. So just a straight poll. A marriage obsolete, yes or no? Maybe you don't even want kids. It just depends on the concept of marriage, Megan. So maybe you want to be married with no kids, but that means you still believe in the concept of marriage. Like you still want to, but maybe you don't even feel like a marriage is a necessary thing for you to do. You know. Yeah, that's kind of true. Wait. Mikasa always friend zoned. I like the fact that my wife is contractually obligated to stick around. No matter how exhausting I am. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's take a look here. Marriage obsolete. We had looks like we had 7 out of 10 say no. Okay, so it kind of holds true. I know there's only 10 people who answered here, but you know what? This says 39%, so maybe a few more people would say like 4 out of 10. Maybe an extra person would say yeah. But it seems like this split seems a little bit pretty close to accurate based on 10 people. Okay, I know that's not going to tell us a ton about the population, but obviously we have a limited set of people. But yeah, it's interesting. People's different. There's pros and cons, absolutely. Athena, obsolete. Obsolete means it's no longer useful. It's useless. Like it has no meaning anymore. So like if you use like an old computer and it's obsolete, it means it's not useful anymore. What do I think of it, Megan? I think marriage would be nice. Do I think it's obsolete? I think for myself I don't I've always been on the fence about this, to be honest. Um Personally though, I think marriage certainly has its benefits. Absolutely. You know. Okay. Just all the baddies let up. No right. Um I think it still has its usefulness, if you want kids or you want a future. The issue that I see today in at least in American society is that the question really becomes is do you have time for marriage? Do you have time, like you can have time for having a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, okay? I mean seriously, you have time for a boyfriend or girlfriend whatever, that's fine. But do you have time to take it to the next level? for some people, they would say, yes, I have time to take it to the next level. But I see today that maybe more relationships are basically more casual than they are actual, um, actually more steady kind of things. So, like, I remember back in the day, if you go back to the 80s, going steady was a big deal. That was like, yeah, you're in a more of a committed relationship, and it's seen as something like something of great importance. Today, that means absolutely nothing. All right. And I think that just has a lot to do with the lack of time and commitment that you can make toward a relationship. There's so many other things that are going on in your lives where you don't necessarily have that amount of time in order to invest in a long-term or meaningful relationship. And I think that tends to be very, very, I think tends to be, that can be potentially toxic in some relationships. And eventually you break up with that particular person. Yes. So, I mean, that's what I see is the biggest problem here. So, for example, let's say you're doing a job and you're doing, I saw this in Japan. If you're ever doing a job and you're outside doing a job, for literally, 12 hours a day, or you have to work two jobs, then what time, when you get home and you're dead tired and you just go to sleep, what's the purpose of having a relationship then? And then you're just working for yourself, and you basically can't work for someone else because you're just working, you're working yourself to the bone just to maintain yourself. Working for someone else is going to be just too much. And so basically your attitude toward a relationship based on that is going to be much more casual as a result, rather than much more serious, much more, well thought out or serious, because most of the time you're working for yourself just to maintain your lifestyle. Working for someone else can be just maybe too daunting for something like that, is the kind of thinking. So, yeah, I hear you, Wade. That's absolutely right. It's an investment, and it is a smart move financially. 100% true. Your taxes are going to love you. Okay, absolutely. All right. And religion can play a very large part. That's true. But, you know, everybody's kind of got a different way of looking at what they want in a relationship these days. You know, um, this is more of the Tinder slash Bumble era of relationships, more than it is about, actually meeting people face to face or things like that, kind of getting to know them. So there's a distinct difference about how we meet people today. I mean, I don't know how many times you've been in a date and then you just basically texting them back and forth while you're sitting across from each other or something like that, some weird stuff like that. Yeah, and that's true. It's like they're targeting me. Well, let me ask you this question here, Megan. Is it easier for you to find a is it easier to find to find someone for you, uh would it be easier through online, or would it be is it something that you would want to find online, or do you prefer to do it with face to face sort of thing? Obviously with corona that's a different story, but let's say before corona, would you rather do it to do it face to face, or would you rather do find somebody for yourself through online connections? You want to get married or online? Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely, you're right. Sister's the same way. So okay, that's fair. Like I said, everybody's got a different okay. You'd rather like get to know that person, right? So my question really, Megan, is like you'd rather get to know that person first, like face to face, rather than just say, I just saw your profile, let's go on a date. That kind of sort of thing. So that's like the difference between some people have that preference, like I want to meet you face to face first, but then we could go on, like you go on a date with that person, or you'd be like, oh, okay. I saw your Tinder profile, so you look good. Let's go on a date or something. So, yeah, everybody's got a preference in terms of that regard. So, if both men and women drop their unrealistic expectations, it would be a lot easier. I'm not saying it's less for compromise, but I can't get exactly then you guys can. I mean, it's true. Some people have very unrealistic expectations. You just don't know what those expectations are when you go into any kind of relationship, from the get-go. It's easier to catch them in lies in person. This is true. That's very true. Reading body language is incredibly important. I'm not gonna disagree with that. Body language is like one of those things that's very, very important there. Opposite, I like blind dates when I was dating. Okay, I like meeting new people and having this might turn romantic, more explicit. Okay, yeah, and to be fair, in your defense, cool dad, in your defense, that's that was the preference that you had, is like you really kind of like that. You really kind of like that, curiosity, that variety, that curiosity. So, I mean, dating is also expensive if you don't want to seem like a cheapskate. I mean, no matter what, dating's gonna be expensive. That's just how it rolls. Dating is always a monetary investment. It's just how it has to do. I'm grateful for the relationship I am in right now, and relationship does take a lot of time. But I think what it's important, both relationship are putting in the time. That's true. Yes, Cheska, this is very true, and I'm glad to hear that you're in a relationship where both of you are putting in a worthy time investment in terms of helping each other, helping each other and having and growing with each other in a loving and romantic way. That's wonderful. Look, I haven't dated in years, so but I can tell you that this is just basically I haven't dated in years, but I'm plenty happy if you guys are in a better shape. I'll ever be. I'll tell you that. Yep. You love the advice though. Wonderful. Yeah, there's like no like a thing like love, right? Yeah, a thing like love doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong way of doing it. If you're obviously obviously without the laws in place. Of course, there's laws in place, but I mean, if you're trying to find love, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Everybody has their own preference about how they want to go and find love. So I just think society slowly changes. It's very interesting to see from a macro perspective how society has changed, and in terms of what those effects are because of how that is. Me too. Me too, Wade. I would love to meet her as well. Okay, that's very fair, Athena. That's very fair. Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example here, Athena. My sister has always been single. My mother tried to get her an arranged marriage for over 20 years. My sister said no to every single one of them because she preferred her independence and she wanted to go travel and do her thing. She's like she wanted to give more time to others, and she's like, I don't need a spouse in my life. I said, I support you. You want to go do what you want to do? I said, that's cool with me. I ain't gonna say that. I'm monogamous, but I have polyamorous friends. Yeah, I've known polyamorous people. It worked for them. I remember a guy who had 4 people living in an apartment. So, okay, works for you guys. Not my style, but everybody's got a thing. So they all got along just swimmingly. Yeah, my sister's the kind of person who basically, well, I'll put it this way. Athena, and for everybody else in class. I'm literally afraid of my sister. My sister, if she gets mad at me, I know I'm gonna get wrecked. So my sister can verbally destroy me in about 3 seconds. It's crazy. I don't mess with my sister. Yep, she's my older sibling, all right. She will absolutely destroy me. But she does it in a loving way. So my sister is great. My sister is wonderful. So. All right, we gotta finish. We gotta solve this question here. We got like half an hour to go, and I haven't done anything. All right, let me try and do things. Try to do things. Okay. All right. Yes. What is the probability in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, less than 38%, believe that marriage is obsolete? Okay. Where they do have a way with words, I ain't gonna lie. All right, so let's get some information down here first. As you can see here, we're going to be using Normalcdf in some capacity. Okay, be using one of these three guys here, but we're going to need to know what P is. We need to know what this last guy is going to look like here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this is. First of all, let's identify P. What is P here according to our problem? So can anybody tell me here, what is P here according to our problem? What is P? What is the population? What is the population proportion here according to this? 500? Let's take a look here. Remember what P is here. P is the proportion, right? P is the population proportion. Not the sample size, ladies and gentlemen. The sample size is 500. Okay. So the sample size here, N, ladies and gentlemen, is 500. All right. 190. Not exactly. That's how many people said yes. So many people said yes. 190 people said yes. But Cool Dad is correct. The answer is, well, gotta be careful there, Cool Dad. Not 38%. What did the population say? What did the overall Americans, right? Take a look at the whole country here. According to this question here, overall in all Americans, what was the population? What did the population say according to this? It says, according to a study done by this research center, 39% of adult Americans believe that marriage is obsolete. So how would I write 39% there, Aaron? Okay, that is correct. So one of the important things to recognize is that P here is representative of the population. Okay? Correct. Okay, good. Good. So this is reflective of the population proportion. 39% of all adult Americans say marriage is obsolete. So that's going to be 39% or 0.39. So I want you to understand where I'm getting this stuff from is that I just got that from the beginning part of the problem here. Okay? So that's where you see that information here. Now, N, as we said here, the sample size here was 500. Okay? So that's the sample size. That's how many people we asked. All right? Now, we have to answer the question here, okay, of those 500 people that we asked, what's the probability that less than 38% believe, what's the probability that less than 38% believe that marriage is now obsolete? So in this case here, what we need to do is we're going to use one of these three guys. Now, the guy that we're going to use here specifically is we're going to use this first guy here because this says this is the probability. Go ahead and put it up here in the paint tool. So this one here, paint stuff. All right, scroll up. So what we're going to do here specifically is we're going to use Normalcdf. So we'll use Normalcdf. We're going to use 0. We're going to use P here of 0.38. Okay, because now the reason why we're using this here is because we're trying to find the probability of less than 38%, okay, or 0.38. Okay, so we notice I start at 0 here because again with percentages we're working from 0 to 100%, right? So I'm doing 0.38, and then we use our P here, which is 0.39. And then we're going to do our standard deviation here of 0.39 times 1 minus 0.39. And that's going to be all over 500. Now, so what I'm going to show off here next is going to be fairly important for making sure that you guys don't make the same mistakes. So what I want to show off next is how you would enter this guy into the calculator. Okay, so this is going to be fairly important for you guys because things can get a little bit dicey when entering this into the calculator. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now if you have the new school calculator or old school calculator, it depends. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to Normalcdf here first. That is 1 minus 0.39. 0.39 there, Megan. Yeah, sorry about that. 0.39. Actually, let me erase that. There we go. So we're going to go to hit second and the vars key. We're going to go to, and we'll get to our distribution menu here. We're going to go to Normalcdf here. Okay. Now we're going to follow suit with what we have here. All right. So first we'll put lower here as 0. We'll put our upper here as 0.38. We'll put our mean here as 0.39. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we'll be careful about that. Okay. Now, as for your standard deviation, this can be pretty difficult or pretty tricky if you have the old school calculator here. With the new school calculator, you can be a little bit more certain about how to put this in. So if you want to enter this in appropriately, we're going to hit second and the square root key. We're going to go put in 0.39 times. I'll put in one set of parentheses here of 1 minus 0.39. Close those parentheses. Hit the division key and then hit 500 and then close the first set of parentheses here. So we have one set of parentheses of 1 minus 0.39 and the second set of parentheses here, which will be for the entirety of the square root appropriately. Okay. So we'll go ahead and paste this in. And we should have everything set up and ready to go. And so here in this instance, we end up with an answer of 0.3233. Okay, now, if you have the old school calculator here, one of the things that you don't have is, unfortunately, even on like my old calculator here that I have, my personal calculator, I obviously don't have the little submenu to enter in every single number here. Now, of course, the first three numbers here are fairly simple and easy to do, the 0 and the 0.38 and whatnot. The trickiest part here is the standard deviation. And one thing, if you have the old school calculator here and you don't have that last little submenu, if you don't have that submenu there, then putting in the standard deviation all at once can be very, very hard. So instead, what I suggest that you do here is, yeah. So here's what I would like you to do here, Kristen, since you have the older calculator here. The first thing that I would like you to do here is go ahead and we're going to figure out what the standard deviation is. Okay. So what I want you to do here is we're going to hit the square root key here. We're going to hit square root, and we're going to go hit 0.39. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do it even. Let's break it down even more here because I think I don't want to mess this up here for you. So let's do 0.39 times 1 minus 0.39. And let's divide that by 500. We're going to get some kind of answer here. Whatever this is, I don't really care. What we're going to do here is we're going to hit second and square root. And we want to take the square root of this answer here. Now, for us to bring up this previous answer, okay, good. To get this previous answer here, you hit second and the negative key, and you can bring up your previous answer and use it in the next subsequent calculation. And so notice this is what you get here on the older calculator. Now, I'm breaking this down step by step because there's many ways to do this, obviously, if you can format it correct. But if you want to reduce the amount of confusion, then that's perfectly fine. So what I would do here next is write down this entire decimal here. So I would write, say, you have to use the entire decimal, by the way. You can't round here. Never round until the end of the problem. That's the golden rule. So this would be like the standard deviation here. And then I would go back to my distribution here. Let's go back here for a second. And instead of having my square root stuff like here, of course, again, you would put in your old school calculator the entire decimal that you see here. And then you would go ahead and hit enter once you have that. And you'll get the same answer as I did. Okay. So 2 ways to actually go ahead and do that there in that instance. Yeah, there you go. So that's the correct way, Athena, of formatting it. That would be correct. So if you know how to do that, that's fine. This is for people who may not be as confident as formatting it. So you know that can be a little bit tough. So you know, um, it's definitely a thing. All right. Any questions about that so far? We're gonna do a few. We're gonna do a couple more here. So questions so far, guys? 9. And yet. Okay. All right. So the next part here. Let's do the next one here. Let's do letter B. What is the probability? Oh, maybe I need to make that a tad bit bigger. Helpful. I wonder why that doesn't. All right. What is the probability that in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, between 40 and 45% believe that marriage is obsolete? Okay. Only word I know in Russian. It's true. All right. Okay, so how would I set this problem up here? How would I set this up? Spanish? No. Okay. Spanish? No. All right. You gotta have you gotta have an NEA with that, okay? That's how it rolls. So how would I set this up here? What would I do? How can I set up part B? Okay, so tell me what that would look like. Ignore the standard deviation. You could just put it as standard deviation. But how would you set up the first 3 parts there? Standard deviation takes a while to put in. So, I ain't gonna lie. How would that look like with the first 3 numbers put in? Yeah, you gotta give me the numbers here, you know? Yes, I know a lower and upper and mean. Yes, yes, yes. I would like the numbers put in there. Yes. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, excellent. That is correct. Right. Yeah, lower is 0.40 and the upper is 0.45. That's right. So remember, you still have to maintain the percentages here as decimals. Right. The standard deviation is going to be exactly what we had from before in the previous part. So notice that even with different percentages here, p is not changing. Those guys aren't changing. The sample size did not change any. Nothing's changing. So okay. All right. So let's go ahead and figure out what this is on the calculator here. Let's take a gander, right? We'll hit second in distribution. Go to Normalcdf. Okay, we're gonna hit 0.40, 0.45, 0.39, and then finally you can leave this decimal as is, or again, if you know how to do the square root stuff, you can go ahead and do that there. I'll just leave that as is because it's the same thing. And that's correct there. Ziggy, don't forget about that 4th decimal point, okay? Careful about that last part there, buddy. Yeah, so you want 0.3203. Remember, we always want 4 decimal places here, so that's correct. All right, questions about that one? Questions? Okay, that's cool. That's cool, man. I just don't want you to forget about that because, a lot of questions on the homework and the test are going to revolve around giving 4 decimal places. So I would not want you to miss points, okay, because of that fact. That would make me sad. All right, so we got that. That is done. All right, perfect. All right. Let's do this next part here. Would it be unusual for a random sample of 500 500 adult Americans, to result in 210 or more who believe marriage is obsolete? Okay. So, would it be unusual for a random sample of 500 adult Americans to result in 210 or more who believe marriage is obsolete? So that's the question that we have here. Now, let's talk about what this question actually says. We need to answer 2 questions here. First of all, unusual. What did unusual mean here? What does unusual mean again? You guys remember, what did unusual mean? Less than 5%. All right, perfect. Okay, so now we have a metric about where to compare our percentages. So we have a hard set cap, has to be less than 5%. All right, then it's going to be declared to be unusual. Seems fair. Okay. Now, let's see what the other half of this question is going to be. Is now that we have a metric, let's go ahead and see what the other half is going to be. Less than a 195 IQ strats. Oh well, I'm sorry, Wade, but in order to get to this level where I'm sitting behind this camera, you need 300 IQ strats. You haven't quite made it there. You're 105 points off. Okay, just saying. All right. I'm just kidding, bro. All right. So now the second half of this question here says, what about resulting in 210 or more believing that marriage is obsolete? So what question is this really asking? This is asking if 210 or more believe marriage is obsolete. Well, what we need to see is that 210, let's say, for example here, 210, 210, I can control more than shadows, I assure you. All right. Um, I could take 210 people said yes to my question. They said, I asked them, hey, is marriage obsolete in your opinion? You say yes or no. 210 people said yes to that question. Okay, so I could take 210 people. I asked 500 people, so that's fair. I had divided that by 500. So I take a look at the percentage of people who said yes to this question. Okay, so the percentage of people who said yes to this question here is equal to 0.42 or 42%. Okay. So 42% here, if you do that out on the calculator, that's fine. All right. 210 out of 500 would be 42%. So what we're trying to find here specifically, it says 210 or more specifically. Okay. That's what it says here. All right. 210 or more. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find the probability of the probability being more than being 0.42 or more. Okay. So 42% or more is what we're after here in this example here in this question. So can anybody tell me here, how would I set up this problem now? I want 42% or more in this instance. So what would I have here in this case? How would I set that up here in this instance? .42 would be in the lower. That's correct, Cool Dad. So I agree with that part there, 100%. Nope, you're not way off at all. In fact, you are spot on, my friend. So 0.42, 1, 0.39, and then the standard deviation. That's right. Absolutely. That is correct. Very nice. So again, one has to be your upper because we're dealing with proportions. One would represent the 100%, so like 42 to 100%. All right, and then we have the other rest of the numbers there, and we're gonna see exactly what we come up with. So let's take a look and see what we get here. So let's go back to second vars. Go to Normalcdf here. So we get 0.42, 1. Keep the rest the same. And yes, you guys are absolutely correct here, 0.0845. So based on the metric that we know for what unusual means, then this would not be unusual. Okay, so This would not be unusual here by our standard metric of 5% of less than 5%. So there we go. We got it. It turned into a yeah, it does. Okay, yeah, it does that if you have a period at the end for certain things. I don't know why. That's not your fault there, Megan. That's just part of the system thing. Certain things, for some reason, if you put a period after, it is going to think it's a link. So I'm not even sure why. All right, very good. So the key here in this question here specifically is knowing that, again, just reading it very carefully says if it gives you a number here like 210 or more, you'll know how to deal with that by first finding what that percentage is. Okay, again, the number of people who said yes over the number of people who you asked. All right, and that's going to give you a percentage here. And this could say or more or less or whatever, and then you just have to set that up appropriately, just like we did the last two parts there. And there we go. And we got it. So, okay, good stuff. Questions about that so far? Actually, I didn't have that second part there. Oh no, I'm fine. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. That's okay. Uh, see if I do. Okay. Do I have time for that? Like my Japanese? No, sorry. Yeah. Do you like my Japanese? Sure. あんたの日本語は最高です. All right. Good job, Ziggy. It's so cool. I don't speak much Japanese. Ohio gozaimasu is easy. So like all right, so that's what I'm gonna leave off here for today. I may end up doing one more example from this section here. I think that it may have to do with like maybe one or two questions on the homework here. But I just don't have time for that right now. So I guess I'll show that off here for next time, and we'll wrap that up. That isn't such a big deal. It's just like one question. We'll have to do chapter 9 here for next time. That's the goal here. Yeah. So everybody knows that. Come on, Wade. So like people say Ohio gozaimasu or gozaimasu if you're doing super casual, or you're like being or like let's say you finish a meal, they say gochiso sama deshita. So you have to be a little careful about that actually. One of the things about Japanese is you say gochiso sama deshita means thank you for the meal, like hey, thank you for the meal, whatever kind of, you know. However, if you do say it wrong, you say goshuso sama deshita. So gochiso sama deshita or goshuso sama deshita. Goshiso sama deshita means thank you for the meal. Goshuso sama deshita means my condolences. So you have to be a little bit careful about about how you say that word. Yeah. Yeah, goshuso sama deshita gotta be like my condolences. Gochiso sama deshita means thank you for them. Chaz, how you doing? We're doing good, my friend. We're doing good. Wrapping things up here, so. I'm pretty good, my dude. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna think about that. Yuck. Yikes. My condolences. Thank you for the meal. Oh my gosh. Like, go chiso sama deshita. To wa go shuso sama deshita. Inu-san. uh, holy smokes. Ellis, hey, how we doing, buddy? Ellis, how you doing, my dude? Not the dog. Yeah, man, not the doggo, yo. Got some cat pictures and stuff. Well, that works. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me point out what's going to go on here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's point out what's going on. What's going on? I'm going to, once I get access to my math lab, whenever the heck that happens here, I'm going to be extending out that due date a couple days to Wednesday. Okay? Next time, we're going to be going over one question from section 8.2, and then we're going to go right into chapter 9 here for next class on Wednesday. Okay, so that is what is on the docket here for what is going on. All right? Right. That is what is on the docket here, I promise you. Oh, see, now it decides to come up here. All right, let's let me check something here. Actually, now that you guys are right here, you guys can see. So it finally came up here. It took a while. Let's see if I get access to this or not. I hope I can. But that took a long time. So I ain't gonna lie. You're laughing? How many? Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that. Ellis, I'm doing really good, my dude. I'm doing really, really good. Really, really good. How was your week there, Ellis? I hope you had a lot of fun, my dude. Have things been well? You know, I hope football's getting back to normal now. Hopefully non-league is getting back to normal. Everything's been fine. We play some music. All right. However, for those of you, like I said, when I get a chance to change these times, once my math lab is not acting all wonky, I'll let you know. I just have a feeling that this is going to probably take a while before I have a chance to access this. So if it took that long to finally get to this page, it's probably going to take an equal amount of time to finally get to the page I need to in order to change those due dates. So I do apologize in the meantime. I will change those appropriately. They just can't happen right now, obviously, because I don't have access. So, but it will be done, and we will get it done. I promise you that. All right. Hey, domo. All right. So for those of you heading out here, I'm sticking around, by the way, because I'm here until like 2:00. But those of you leaving, thank you so much here for coming on out here to the stream once again. All of you are lovely, 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 lovely people. Thank you so much for coming on out here to the stream. You know where I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you right here, same time, same place. All right, on Wednesday. All right. As soon as I have it extended out to 2 days, I will be sending out an email. You will get that, and that should hopefully alleviate a lot of fears. All right. If things get worse, then I'm gonna certainly be flexible in that regard. So no worries. All right. No worries, guys. You guys will get your time in order to finish up what you need to finish up. All right. In the meantime, if you'd like to stick around, please stick around because I'm gonna be doing this again. Thank you, Kristen. You have yourself a wonderful day, okay? I'll see you in a couple days, okay? Sayonara. You don't say sayonara, Ziggy. Nobody says sayonara. Oh, no. I didn't see that sayonara part. Sayonara is not good. Sayonara is like sayonara is like saying goodbye forever. How is everybody doing here today? I hope everybody's doing really good today. Yeah, actually, Ziggy, that's true. So if you say sayonara, that means you'll never see them again. That's why you see, if you were going to watch anime, right, and you hear somebody say sayonara, that means that they'll probably never see that person or that character ever again. If you say, like, mata ashita, that means I'll see you tomorrow. Or mata ne means I'll see ya. You're like, there's other formal ways to say it, but sayonara is very serious in Japanese culture. They're like, so if you're working with a coworker that says ja mata ashita, and they're like, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Yeah. How's everybody doing here today? I hope everybody's doing good today. Look at all these people in the chat. Amazing. Amazing. I know a lot of people are probably panicking right now over my math lab. This thing's still working? I hope so. Check. Oh? Okay. It kinda did what I wanted to. Alright. 5 to 7. Yeah, see you Wednesday, my friend. Have a good one, Ziggy. Okay, so I need to do. And I have the 5, 6. Alright, does that work? How would I come about investing some money? I'm not very educated. I have a savings account, but it's now at the point that I want to multiply that money. Well, it depends what your goals are in terms of. There are a lot of ways in terms of investing. I mean, there's a lot of. To be fair, Athena, there's a lot of different financial instruments that are available to you if you want to grow your money. Okay, and I understand you want to multiply your money there. Now, multiplying your money doesn't come without risk, though. All right. Now, there's sure ways to do it, and then there's not so sure ways. Investing, like being in the market, in the stock market, of course, has risk. But there's also other ways to kind of slowly grow your money over time. But interest rates being as low as they are, you're not going to grow a lot in a short amount of time. So, for example, if you want something to be sure, then you would go with a money market account. So, like a money market account would be like they'd give you a certain amount of interest here per year. So for example, an APY of maybe 2%, APY representing annual percentage yield would be, say, 2%, then a 2% APY is very, very good. All right, so you make 2% year over year. Now, 2% I know doesn't seem like a lot, but it does compound over time, which isn't too bad. It's not the greatest. You're not going to be making a ton of money. And if you don't invest a lot of money into the account, then really you're not going to be building a lot up. But you will be adding money little by little with interest put in once you put it into something more long-term like that. You could also go with other financial instruments as well, as like you could entrust it to a company who will invest it for you and hopefully get a X percentage of returns based on the market conditions for that year. So they flip stocks back and forth, they do their thing. They say, oh, we had a 10% return based on our trading from last year, so we'll give you the 10% of those profits, okay, from what you invested in. So you invested $1,000, you now get $1,100 because of our rate of return from that account, for example. That's if you go with a professional. Or you could try it, of course, yourself. And there's a lot of different ways you can certainly do that. Now that takes a lot more than what I can certainly say in this one single stream. That requires a lot of different sets of information. You could trade options, you could trade stocks, you could trade a lot of different things in order to grow your money. And it depends how, what you want to do with that money. How aggressive do you want to grow that money? Those are the most important things that you have to take into under consideration. So I don't know what you want to do, and I don't know how much you want to actually grow it, but there's so many different avenues to actually grow your money that just a matter of which path you want to go down. This save? You say this saved? What? Retirement is definitely one thing. You could think of an annuity, like a 401k or an IRA. Hey JD, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that here at the beginning of class. That's true. That's very true. I do have to talk about the extension for this test and stuff. Like, my math lab is being very, very bad right now. Your tax person told me about an IRA. All right, that's fair. Like I said, there's good and bad things about an IRA, though. So, an IRA is certainly going to multiply your money. Absolutely. Thing is that there's a lot of contractual restrictions about when you can take that money out of your IRA. You have to wait until a certain age before you're not penalized. So if you're investing for the long haul, you're going to have to wait a good, X amount of years until you're like 67. Then you can take it out without any financial penalty. It's a very restrictive, so the benefit is you're going to multiply your money. You're going to put in money into that IRA every single pay cycle. The problem is that you can't take it out without a severe penalty associated with it before it's time to mature. JD, I've been very good, my friend. I've been very good. Been kind of dealing with my math lab issue here. No, please. I would live as long as possible. No, please. I would like you to be Athena. No, come on. You gotta roll with me, okay? You gotta roll with me. Say, I want to die in my sickies. This Athena, loco en la cabeza. Yikes. Que lástima. I'm scared of getting dementia and not being independent. I understand that. I can understand that. Hey, Abby. Being in the caregiving field, I can understand that. I don't know if what your family history is of dementia or anything like that. Usually it's usually genetics. But if you do have head trauma a lot, then that could also lead to it. We're drinking ginger ale today. Ginger ale. I need to settle my stomach down a bit, so it's a ginger ale for me today. Yeah, my math lab is not cooperating. Come on, bro. Yeah, solid. I want it. JD? Hey, Kano. JD, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor, JD? Can you check my math lab and see what the due date is on the test? I know it's not working all that well, but can you see it on your end to see if the due date changed or not? I don't know if it did on my end, so I need to be sure on your end of what that looks like, since we're both having issues. I've been dealing with this all morning. Nothing is loading for you for homework and tests. It shows a blank. Yeah, it's the same for me. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for me, guys. I know you guys have been frustrated. Last time you checked, yeah, last time you checked, it should have been the same due date. But I made a change. At least I think I did. Like just not like a minute ago. So I wasn't sure if that took effect on your end there. I just needed to know if you could just see it, really quick. Oh, here we go. I think I got some. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so let me show you what's on my screen, okay, guys? All right, so I want to show you what's on my screen here really quick, all right? Because we're all in this together, is true. Okay, so I changed the homework here to the 31st, which is 2 days from now. Okay, so I just changed everything here to the 31st, and I changed the due date here. So it should look like this. So these last two entries here. All right. Okay. This is what I see. This is what I see, so I'm just going to run with this here, okay? You may not see the chapter 12 stuff, but don't worry about that. That's not important. What's important is the test and the homework that's associated with it. Okay. All right. Let's do this then. All right. All right. So let's make this announcement right now, since it's now. All right. So let's make this announcement right now. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine, Mavadia. That's not a problem. All right, but I can make this announcement right now, even if all you see is a blank screen. All right, so let's at least talk about this here really quick. Let me go to my main screen here really fast, and then I'll show off the screen once again. Okay. Okay. So I made an executive decision last class, and I got a bunch of emails this morning. I got a bunch of stuff on Discord and stuff like that, so I've been kind of flooded with messages about how my math lab has been doing bad things for the past couple days. I know it was down yesterday near the end of yesterday night. The test was going to be due here today at midnight, and I know that people have been having a whole host of problems here this morning and afternoon. Totally understand that. I tried to access it this morning. It was working absolutely terribly. I checked the down detector site for Pearson on their thing, and they said it's degrading. It has connection degradation, so it works, but it barely works. So essentially, is what they're saying. Um, all right. So basically, what that essentially means is that with my math lab being essentially in my effectively down, it's not really all that functional. As if you're going to do like 4 questions in 2 hours, it's going to be effectively non-functional. So, um, I do want to point out that I know you got a lot of you trying to do it at the last minute, and then you get like a whole bunch of stuff here. But as I mentioned here in the very first class, you guys did have time up until today, and it's not fair that you don't have that time. Even if you're going to procrastination station, that time is still valid until up until midnight of today. Was up until midnight of today to finish the test. So that time has been taken away from you for something that you cannot control, that I can't control either. So I can't control it. You can't control it. It's a thing that's on their end that they have to fix. Okay, and I totally understand that. I totally understand that you have you're trying to get stuff done, but you can't get stuff done. Yeah, last minute or no last minute, you're trying to get stuff done. At least on time, and you can't, right? It's just not possible. So what I decided to do was I extended out the due date here 2 days, all right, out to Wednesday. So if they fix stuff here by today, then you'll still get those 2 days of which to finish here. Hopefully they'll get it done. If they still don't fix it by tomorrow, you'll still have that day and a half of which to finish the exam. All right, so that should be fine here. Now, it's been confirmed by you guys that now the date has changed over to the 31st, so that goes with the test and the homework there appropriately. All right, so you do have that time in which to finish there. So if they don't fix that stuff here today, they're gonna fix that. And then hopefully they fix that stuff here by tomorrow. Hopefully they fix it soon. Whatever is going on their end, they'll hopefully get that out of the way. Done. All right, so I know a lot of people use the service, so they're probably working on it as we speak. But I extended out a couple days here just to give them time to fix stuff on their end, and for you guys to take that little extra time and get stuff done on your end once it is available. Okay, so that will be, I'll be posting up a note in D2L regarding the extension here for a couple days due to my math lab technical issues. Okay, so don't worry about that here. You guys have seen this in person. Let's go back to the main screen here. You guys now have seen this in person where you do get the 2-day extension here. All right, for the thing. Okay. Are there any questions from you guys? Any questions about the extension here? I want to be sure everybody's on the same page about this, so, you know. I hope everybody's happy about that. So if you see a blank screen or something like that, don't worry, okay? I don't want you to worry here. I don't want you to be like, you know, freaking out or stuff like that. You know, I want to be sure that you guys know what's going on. You kept this, yeah, everything's the same. I just changed the due date, JD. So I've changed nothing else but the due date, all right? So I haven't touched anything else, I promise you. Same amount of tries, same time limit, same everything. So all I wanted to show off was the due date change. That's it. I'm not going to change anything once I've set it in stone. Otherwise, that wouldn't promote a consistent message. So I think you'd agree. Any questions? Any questions, guys? Otherwise, we'll get started. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll get started and we'll get going. Yeah. Moo. Fair enough. All right, let's do some intros here, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get going here. We got actual things we have to do here. You're heading out. Have a okay. You have a wonderful day, Athena. You take care of yourself. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you later. All right, let's do some intros and let's get going here for today. All right. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Monday. Hopefully, everyone had a nice spring break. Yes, so today, ladies and gentlemen, today, as you just saw, we have the extension here for the test here, which is in a couple of days. All right, so that'll be the 31st. Okay, so again, test is now due on 3/31/2021. All right, so yeah, it's 11:59 p.m. of course. So so just want to put that in the chat there so you guys are aware that I have effectively made that change through the very slow my math lab system. So hopefully they get that stuff up and running in a day or two. All right, so you guys have that set and ready to go. You guys can finish up whatever you need to finish up, so you don't have to worry about falling behind. All right. So if it's still not fixed, by the way, in a couple of days, you guys, then I'll extend it out even further. So you know, this is not a problem on your end. This is not a problem on my end. This is a problem on their end. And if I need to wait it out, then we wait it out. So it's perfectly fine, but should have their stuff together hopefully today. And I'll give you a couple more days to push to finish. All right. So we certainly have that. All right. So for today, however, outside of this, naturally, outside of this today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going over a couple of new things. So actually, we're going to be starting off with the home stretch here for the course. So as you know, the last test here was over chapters 5 to 7. And so the last test here for this course is going to be over chapters 8, 9, 10, and 4. Now, we did the first half of chapter 8 here last time. So today we're going to finish up chapter 8 because chapter 8 only has a couple sections. Today we're going to finish up section 8.2. All right, and then after that, we'll go to chapter 9, and then we'll have 3 more chapters after that until the end of the semester. There's about a month and a half to go. So once the last test here is going to focus on chapters 8, 9, 10, and 4. So 8, 9, 10, and 4, those chapters there will be consisting of the last exam, and then they will have the final exam to talk about after that. So we are well on our way to get that done. All right, so I can assure you of that. So we will get it done, and it will be done. All right. So today, what we are going to be doing here is we are going to go ahead and get into chapter section 8.2. Okay, so we're going to get into section 8.2 here. So what you have in your handout here is going to be what question 4 here is, because I just borrowed this from my 120 notes. So pretty much the same thing. So we're going to get into section 8.2 here for today, and we're going to talk all about things that we had discussed here last time, maybe a week and a half ago when we discussed sampling distributions. Now, talk about sampling distributions, the most important thing about that was we were able to use, say, the normal CDF function and the inverse norm function. All right, and we saw how to use both of those in key scenarios, and then made one adjustment based off of that. Today, we're going to be pretty much doing the same thing here. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here today, ladies and gentlemen, is instead of doing sampling distribution, we're going to do what's called a sample proportion. So if we take a look here at the first question on the handout, first question on the handout says, how do we find the sample proportion / population proportion? So first and foremost here, this is going to be a topic that's not going to only come up here in this section, but it's also going to come up in the first section of chapter 9 and also in chapter 10. Okay, so we're going to see this at least 3 times here. So at least getting to know the notation here actually is going to be pretty important for what we want to be doing. Okay, so I'm just going to point that out right now. All right, so how do we find the sample proportion / population proportion? First of all, let's look at the notation here. Notation here is, first of all, P here for population proportion. All right, so for population proportion here. Now, what about the sample proportion? Sample proportion is, instead of P, is labeled as P hat. And so P hat here is equal to X over N. Now, N here is the sample size. Okay, so essentially how many people we ask. And X here is the number of people who said yes. So for example here, if I went ahead and said, hey, do you like brand A, for example here? Now I could ask you a simple yes or no question, or I could be like, yeah, some people say, do you like brand A? Some people say yes. Do you like brand A? Some people say no, or some people say, nah, I just don't care about brand A. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm neither yes or no. So okay, what we want to look at here is, say, how many people say yes. Now, I put yes in quotations because it depends on the context of the question. But what is important here to note is that, again, some people say yes. So you say, hey, 400 people said yes to my question about do you like brand A out of 1,500 people that I asked. All right, so and I would say X is 400 and N is 1,500 because that's how many people I asked is 1,500. And out of 1,500, 4 of them said yes. So that's fair. That's fine. Okay. Now, one thing that does have to change here specifically is, although we have a P and a P hat here, is that we have a new standard deviation for a sample proportion. So let's discuss about that. So what is a standard deviation for a sample proportion? Well, notice here this is based off of the population proportion here. So again, the standard deviation here is equal to the square root of the population proportion P times 1 minus P, all divided by the sample size here of N. Okay, so this is again one of those things that you would definitively write down, okay, making sure you at least have that in your notes. All right, now this is the same adjustment stuff that we talked about from before. I have the section 8.1 stuff from a week and a half ago. So to give you a friendly reminder from what we did last time, all right, to give you a friendly reminder, we just made the adjustment here where we said, oh, for a sampling distribution, we have a population standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. Well, we're doing the same exact thing here, just with a different formula to adjust for a proportion instead. Okay, and this is the way that we do it here. So those same things that we talked about where we just made adjustments to our standard deviation and the way we type stuff out in our normal CDF function or things like that, that's still going to be applicable here in this case. All right. Now, why is this important? Well, let's take a look at question 6 here, which is probably the most important part here for this section. All right, so what is the central limit theorem here for proportions? It says the larger n gets, so the bigger and bigger n gets or sample size gets, the more the sample proportion will resemble a normal distribution. Now this is really important. It says the larger the larger the sample size, the more normal it's going to look like here. And so what that means is that, of course, we can use those same normal CDF and inverse norm functions like we did in the last section and the last chapter, all right, in order to fit it in this context here as well. What does that mean? This is basically contingent on a couple of things, though. There's certain conditions that we certainly have to follow. First condition here is that we have to have a large enough sample size in order to make sure that this works properly. If we don't, I can't just say normal CDF and inverse norm. I can't use that stuff there. I'm not allowed to use a normal distribution unless I have a large enough sample size. We talked about before here, which says, okay, hey, 10 people isn't going to necessarily reflect the entirety of the population, okay? I asked 10 people, do you like brand A? That's not going to tell me what the whole population is. Okay, 10 people is way too small to ask. However, if I asked 100 people, or 500 people, or 1,000 people, yeah, that could get me a little bit closer to what the population actually thinks about said such and such thing, okay? So that's certainly plausible. Right? So the way we check that here is we have a certain condition here. We have np times 1 minus p has to be bigger than or equal to 10. Okay, so that has to happen there in this instance. We also assume that the mean for the sample proportion is equal to the population proportion. So we say, okay, well, that's equal to p, and that's fine. And that the standard deviation is the adjusted standard deviation that we talked about here in our second question. Okay, so our second question. Okay. So what does that mean exactly here for us? Okay, let's talk about what that exactly means. Now remember how it goes here specifically. Specifically how it goes is that we're going to be using normal CDF and we're going to be using inverse norm. Now remember for normal CDF here, it always goes like this. Normal CDF is going to be lower. So the formatting here for normal CDF is lower, upper, right? The mean and the standard deviation. Okay. So this is the setup here for the normal CDF. Now for what we're going to be doing here specifically, scroll up there, sorry. All right, so what we want, what it's going to happen here is that in this instance, in this section, we're going to be dealing with percentages, okay? So we're going to be dealing with percentages here. And so since we're dealing with proportions and we're dealing with percentages, then of course that has to be converted over to decimal. Now we're only going to deal with percentages here, so we're only going to deal with things between 0 and 100%. Right? That's the only thing that matters in probability is between 0 and 100%, so including 0 and 100%. So we could have different situations here that can happen. We could have this. So this is what we could format it into if we have, say, normal CDF. So for example, here we could have a lower, like 0, comma, upper. And our mean here would be p, and our standard deviation would be, again, the square root of p times 1 minus p, all divided by n. Okay, so this is one way we could do normal CDF. Another way, or again, you could have the lower limit, comma 1, comma p, comma square root of p times 1 minus p divided by n. Okay. Or again, we could have again a mix between two values. You could have it between two values here. You could have a lower. You could have an upper. You could have p. You could have 1 minus p times 1 minus p all divided by n. And there we go. That's the way we could do, say, normal CDF. Or again, we could also have, say, the inverse norm function. If you need to use the inverse norm function, then we have the area, E, and then our adjusted standard deviation. This doesn't happen too often, but at least you know how to use that. All right, so there you go. It's like either normal CDF or again inverse norm here about how we would format that in this case here for problems like these. Okay. Now we're going to do this with numbers, of course. All right, but as you can see here, this is essentially how it's going to go here for what we're going to be doing here for our example here today. Are there any questions about that? Oops, that was wrong. Any questions? What's the first part of the inverse norm? The area. So basically, if they give you an area, says find the 46th percentile with a p and a standard deviation there, and then it says area. So that's what you see there in the calculator as well. Go to the calculator here. We'll go. Remember, it says area there, JD. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Cool. Any other questions you guys have, please feel free to ask. Ask away. Hey. The tail is dependent on of course, if you have the tail function, then you could set it as left, right, center, and right. But for the tail, it's automatically left if you have the older calculator. So just like we talked about last time there. So it just depends. It depends what adjustments you have to make depending on the question. So tail is always defaulted to left though. Remember, not everybody has that fourth function here because of the how new that was as an addition to the software. So any other questions? Feel free to ask. Any other questions, anyone? We're going to move on to an example here, but I just want to be sure that everybody is on the same page here before we move forward. Hopefully I'm not going to get flamed too. All right. Okay, well then, we'll move forward here. No problemo. All right, so next, let's go ahead and do an actual example, and let's put this in action, okay? Then you guys can actually help me out with this. All right, so obviously we can't really access the book at the moment here due to my math lab being a piece of poo. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a question here from the book, and we're going to go ahead and see how things work out. All right, so let's look at number 17 on page 385. All right, so I typed this out here before. We're going to go ahead and work with this here. All right, so number 17 here. According to a study done by the Pew Research Center, 39% of adult Americans believe that marriage is now obsolete. So, letter A, what is the probability that in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, less than 38% believe that marriage is obsolete? Okay. I'll move this over here for just a second. Probably need to get rid of that. All right, so I don't know if you guys think marriage is obsolete or not, but it is a very interesting question nonetheless. Do you think marriage is obsolete? Let's get a quick poll here, since there are not a whole ton of people here. But you think marriage is obsolete? It's a very interesting question. I can say that for certain. I'm not sure if you. I was had a big debate about it actually last class about if marriage is obsolete, yes or no. So we'll see what you guys think. Do you think marriage is obsolete? I don't know. Put a little poll in the chat there then. Let's see. You don't think so, JD? You don't think marriage is obsolete? That's fair. That's fair. Let's see what other people think. I have a few other people in the chat there, I see. Oh, a lot of people are quiet today, so maybe the second class is quieter than the first. I don't know why. Or either that or a lot of people come to my first class rather than the second class. I'm not sure why. But maybe it's just because the first class is they want to get it out of the way. I mean, that's fair, I suppose. No? Kylie, you don't think so? You don't think marriage is obsolete? Let me ask this question, though. Let me ask this question to both of you. Like, because trends are changing here. Like, I see that trends are changing. And I was somebody mentioned this in the last class, but I want to be sure that I want to be sure what your opinions are on the matter, and that is, uh, in the future, like just looking in the distant future, there, would you want to have children in the future? Is that something that you would want in the future? Would you like to have children in the future? So maybe you think, yeah, marriage. You're married to somebody. It's for those who are religious. So that's fair. That's fair. But let's say you marry somebody and you're like, okay, I want to be with this person the rest of your life. That's fair. Absolutely, 100%. But would you want to have children with that person? Or is it just like, hey, I would just want to be with this person, but I don't want to have kids? Because everybody's got an opinion about that, about what the expectations are in a relationship like that. I mean, I had a couple people said I don't want to have kids. And I said that's fair. You don't want to have kids. For the sake of my mental stability, no. You don't want to rush into it, but yeah, marriage and kids are goals of mine. Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think that's perfectly fine if you want to have children. Absolutely. I find it very it's kind of interesting there. No children for me. She was like, "No, I'm out. I'm done." Yo, Aiken. I think there's some rush into marriage without really getting to know that person first. I think that's very true in some cases, right? I made the point here, and I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but do you believe that more relationships today in the Tinder universe or the Bumble universe or whatever you want to call it, because more dates are done through online, as opposed to being face to face, do you feel that they're more casual because of that fact? Like, you don't look at a relationship as seriously as you would if you met that person, say, face to face and got to know them beforehand. Do you think that's the case or not? Because I mean, some people view it that way, where it's like, hey, no, not really. You think it's about the same? Slightly. You see it slightly more casual here. You think people see relationships a little bit more still seriously, right? Because I mean, you agree. Data maps makes it too easy. Too easy. Okay. Okay. It really depends on the people's intentions. Okay. So some people agree it's a little more casual, right? But okay. Let's talk about intentions here. When you first get into a relationship, right? So somebody went on 3 Tinder dates in one day. Oh boy, that's a lot. That's a lot of dates in a single day. Jeez. I think it does depend a lot on I think it does depend on a lot on the person there. But I feel that you look at a relationship and you're like, yeah, I want to be with this person here. But so the point I made before was like back in, if you go back to the 90s and stuff, and it says, hey, I'm going steady with my boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Okay. People looked at that and they said, wow, that's a pretty big deal. You go steady with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. But today it's like, people look at it as like, okay, that's not even a thing anymore, you know? Okay, to be fair, Aiken, though, got a point. That's true. And Tinder, you may never see that person again, so you won't be scared and prepared. I mean, that is a very valid point. I do give that a solid point. I will say though that because you said slightly, right? But I would say, wouldn't that make you be more casual because you're going to get rejected a lot on these Tinder dates, right? Because you could just swipe or do whatever, and you could just, it says, Kylan says you go on 3 Tinder dates in a day. Do you see? Yeah, that's what dates are for. But I mean, most people on a date these days are on the phone anyway, right? Because I mean, how many times you've watched a date and people are on their phones all the time, right? Wouldn't you say that's a little more casual rather than a little bit more? I mean, on a date, wouldn't you full send it anyway? I think our generation ghosts too often instead of trying to work things out. I mean, that's true. There is a lot of ghosting. I'm guilty of that too, on occasion, though maybe not for relationship wise. I've never been on a date. Okay. I mean, to be fair, that's fine. Yo, I ghost a lot of people. I'm a private guy, okay? I like the It's not like I don't hate. It's Trust me, I don't hate people, okay? It's just I just like my privacy a lot. So, I don't really like communicate on my phone all too often. So, that's why even at home I have my phone on silent and stuff like that. So, you know, I can set it to ring or I can set it on silent. I know. You guys could be mad at me. That's fair. That's fair for you to be mad at me. That's fine. Me and the Steam app is the best date ever. I don't know what to say to that, Aiken. Everybody does it. That's true. I would see that relationships though, as I've seen as like, um, I feel that being more casual. I feel that also one other thing to keep in mind. One other thing to keep in mind is that people don't have time to have kids or have a relationship like a steady relationship. I suppose I say. Um, I guess the reason is that if you're working like two jobs, for example, or you're going to, let's say you're going to school, or you have so much work, other work that you have to do. You have a ton of work that you have to do. Um, that at the end of the day, with all that work that you have to do, that you don't have time for like a long-term relationship. You don't have time for children. You don't have time to take care of others. That could be something also is like, hey, I got priorities. I got other priorities. Like I could barely take care of myself. So how could I take care of someone else like a like a significant other? Like how can I take care of a significant other if I can't even take care of myself by working two jobs? If you work two jobs, you guys know, I work two jobs, and you guys know, you like, hey, you working 8 hours in one place, 8 hours in another place. You're hecka tired by the time you get home. You barely have any time for yourself. Like, I just want to go to bed. I just want to go do my thing. That's it. That's what you want to do. You know. So I mean, that's just how it is. We're far too educated to start families. I don't know if we're far too educated to start families as much as it's a conscious decision about what's financially viable or what's not financially viable, right? Like it's the first thing you think about as just a person, man or woman, doesn't matter. The first thing that you think about is survival, right? And how you're going to get there, right? You need food and shelter and water. You need all those. You need the basics here. You need food and whatever, food, water, shelter, money. Those are the first things that you got to do. Okay, the and then you can think about extracurricular things that you want to do, but those are the first things you got to do. For some people, they're living check to check because of the fact that they have lifestyles that may require a little bit more money. Many work and get a nanny for their kids, but it's not easy to get that. A nanny's rather expensive, and they may not be within their budget. My second job, yeah, I just work at another community college. So I work at another community college, and I work at two community colleges. So I've had two jobs for like 10 years. Like nannies, too many incidents. I get it. I get it. Everybody's got a. It's really interesting to hear a lot of people's opinions about how they view what a family structure should be. Like, so I mean, if you wanted kids in the future, I said that's fair. You can have kids in the future. I said, hey, you're trying to prepare for one. That's perfectly fine. I absolutely 100% agree. And you take your time and you find your significant other, and then hopefully you build a family. Like my cousin's been married for several years, but they're nowhere close to having kids. They may not have kids. Um, my sister, my sister's another person who will never get married, and she'll doesn't want to get married. She wants to work her job. She wants to be independent. She wants to just be herself. I've I've always respected that decision, even though my mom's trying to get her arranged marriages for 20 years. But it's like my sister says no, and she's like, I'm not going to do it. I said, I respect your decision. I said, it's your life, it's your body, it's your choice. What am I going to tell you what to do? You go do whatever it is what you want to do. And says, yeah, she has her reasons for doing it. She wants to travel. She wants to be independent. She wants to help other people in another different way. I said, why not? You got your thing. I was like, I'm cool with that. So everybody's got a different reason, I'm sure, but I mean, marriage can change a person. I mean, I'm sure it has changed a lot of different people. So it depends how you value that relationship, though. If you're happy with someone getting married, if you're happy with someone, getting married won't change that. It depends. I will say that it actually depends. It does kind of change. It does kind of change. Now people say, how does it change in that regard? Typically, typically a lot of times, I mean, people are happy with each other. You may be good with that person, you get married to that person, but sometimes, in some relationships, the spark just dies after you get married. Like, um, marriages, oftentimes I would hear from certain people, like once they got married, the spark, that flame that they had, they died. Their love life died with it. You know, it's and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be in this position anymore. I want to leave. Probably not the maybe it wasn't the best choice. Like I said, those religious folks, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Gotta respect that. That's just how it is. Mustard helps with the milk. I didn't know mustard helps with sunburn. I learned something new today. All right. Yes, I gotta work that I gotta do. Right. All right. Let me do some work here. I find it fascinating though, a lot of people's opinions about that. Really, really, I do. Okay. So how would we do letter A here? Let's do letter A, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do letter A. What is the probability that in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, less than 38% believe that marriage is now obsolete? Now we have to find. We're going to be using one of these normal CDF things. Okay. So let's at least write down the template about what we're going to be writing down. So let's water and cornstarch. Oh, I don't know what helps with sunburn because I stay indoors a lot, so I don't get sunburn that often. If I get sunburn, then my arms will turn a toast a my arms turn from like a 3 on the toaster to maybe a 4 or 5 on the toaster, without burning up too bad. So it's like, yeah, that's pretty much how my skin goes. So I'm already tan, right? So I'm like a 2 on the toaster. I could go to 3 or 4 or 5 on the toaster, something like that. So, that's pretty much how it looks there. Those Mexican remedies. Okay. You're at a hotel right now. There's no mustard. There's no mustard at the hotel. That's kind of weird. Yeah, how about Googling that, Aiken? I'm pretty sure you could find something that could help with that. Maybe they have some balm or soothing cream. Um, maybe have some healing balm or one of those cold creams or something like that can help with the sunburn. Maybe that helps. I don't toast at all. That's fair. Some Vicks. I mean, I know what I would do if I was next to you, Aiken. I'd slap you on the back. That's just what I would do. In some sick sadistic way. I kind of have to. So easy. All right. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So I'll be like, ha ha ha, you're having sunburn? Slap on the back. Ah! I don't know. Anyway, so we're trying to find the probability that is less than 38%. All right, so that's less than 38%. I know that's super evil. I ain't gonna lie. So what we want to do is we want to find out what P is, okay? Because remember, we have the lower, we have the upper, we have P, and then we have the standard deviation. Let's talk about P here. What is the P here represents again? Remember that P here represents the population proportion here. So according to the problem here, what is the population proportion? What is P? What is P? What is P? What is the population proportion as a number? What's it equal to? It'll be equaling a number here. Yes, we surveyed the amount of Americans. This is true. Survey the amount of Americans, but what is what's going to be that value there? What do you guys think? 0.39. Okay. Okay. All right, Aiken, you have yourself a good one. All right. Have a good trip. All right. I hope that comes out negative. 0.39 is correct. Okay. Remember, this is the population proportion. This represents the 39% in the problem here. So again, if you take a look here, it says, according to a study done by the Pew Research Center, 39% of adult Americans believe that marriage is now obsolete. So the whole population here, if you ask the whole population as a big old whole, 39% that believes that marriage is now obsolete. So that's fair. Okay, fine. So that's equal to 0.39. Right. We're also given the sample size here. The sample size here is equal to 500. Okay, so we asked 500 people this question here. Do you think marriage is obsolete, yes or no? And then we asked 500 people that question. Seems fair. So what we're going to need to put here is we're going to repeat normal CDF. We're going to put 0.38, 0, comma 0.38. Now the reason why I'm putting 0, comma 0.38 is because, again, we want less than 38%. So again, we're working with less than 38% here. I'm going to put 0.39 here. And then we're going to go ahead and put the square root of 0.39 times 1 minus 0.39. And then we're going to divide that all by 500. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and figure out what that's going to be now on the calculator here. So we're going to go to the calculator here for just a moment. And we're going to figure out how to find that here. Now, this depends on if you have the old school calculator or the new school calculator. So if you have the new calculator here, all we do is hit second in vars. We want to go to normal CDF right here. We're going to go to lower. We're going to hit 0. Our upper here will be 0.38. Our mean here is going to be 0.39. And for our standard deviation, the way we're going to enter this in is we're going to enter in exactly as we see here. So we're going to hit second and the square root key. We're going to hit 0.39 times. We're going to put the first set of, we're going to put a set of parentheses here. Put 1 minus 0.39. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the division key, hit 500, and then close the set of parentheses. Again, the first set of parentheses is just subtracting 1 minus 0.39. Second set of parentheses will take the square root of the entire thing, which is what we want. So let's go ahead and go down to paste here, and we'll figure out what this is. So here in this instance, we get 0.3233. Okay, now another way to do this is to figure out what that last number is going to be. So if you want to do it the old school way, we could also figure out what the standard deviation is, because it's sometimes tough to actually format that if you're not too comfortable with that. So you could do, say, you could do it in steps, for example. You could do it as 0.39 times 1 minus 0.39 divided by 500. And then you could take this answer here. It doesn't matter what this answer is, because I'm going to take the square root of this answer. You can hit second in the square root. And if you want to use the previous answer in the next calculation on the calculator here, you can hit second key and the negative key, and you can use the previous answer in the next subsequent calculation. And you could hit enter here. And so you could put either that, or you could put, again, 0.02182403. Okay, so we can. So if you want to use this or you want to use the square root thing, you can use either one and you'll still get the same answer here. So if I go back for just an example here, you'll notice I'll get the same answer here. So if I replace this whole thing with the decimal equivalent, again, you have to use the entirety of the decimal equivalent though. You can't round in the middle, have to round only at the end. And if you notice I do that here, I get the same exact answer as I did before. Close to the same exact answer, but the 4 out to 4 decimal places, so 0.323. All right. Any questions about that so far? Any questions? Good. All right. All right, let's look at the next part here. Okay, let's work with the next part. All right, so let's look at letter B. Letter B says, what is the probability that in a random sample of 500 adult Americans, between 40 and 45% believe that marriage is obsolete? Okay. So, can anybody tell me here, how would I set up this problem here? For the last part here, how would I set this up? We're going to use Normalcdf, that's for sure. And you don't have to write in the standard deviation, by the way. You can just type in standard deviation because it takes too long to type it out. So, can anybody tell me here, what would be the first 3 numbers you would put underneath Normalcdf to find part B? What 3 numbers underneath Normalcdf would you put here underneath part B? I'm going to put in the standard deviation as the last one here. I'm going to put the same, it's the same standard deviation, by the way. Nothing changes in that regard. Okay, so all right, so remember we have the lower, we have the upper, and we have the mean here. So where are we getting 0.44 and 0.45 and 0? What's our P here? Remember to use the similar numbers of what you did here last time, JD, in our last example here. Again, we're between 40 and 45%. So try again. So between 40 and 45% with the same P as before. So let's try that one more time. What numbers would we put here? What's our lower, what's our upper, and what's our mean? Or in this case, our P. All right, P is the same as 0.39, that's right. All right, I agree with that. What's our lower and upper? What's lower is equal to what? That equal to, what's our upper equal to? So between 40 and 45%. Okay, there we go. Perfect. That's right. All right, very good. So we have 0.40 and we have 0.45. I guess I need a little space than what I just put that as. I'll just paraphrase here. All right, so 0.40, 0.45, and then 0.39, and then the standard deviation just as normal. All right, so let's take a good look here at this next one, at this next part here on the calculator. All right, so let's do it. The second in vars here, we'll go to Normalcdf. 0.40, 0.45. Put in our, I'll retype in this standard deviation. Square root of 0.39 times a divided off. Paste that in. All right, and here we have it. We have 0.3203. All right, so 0.3203 is what we have here for that. There we go. All right, good stuff. All right, questions about that so far? Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Any questions? All right, hopefully that wasn't too bad. Okay, let's do letter C then, if there are no questions. All right. Let's take a good look here at letter C. No, so the standard deviation is not going to change, right? The only time it does change is if we do change the sample size, all right? But the P there is not changing. The sample size didn't change because we still have the same 500 people. So the standard deviation did not change. The only two things that needed to change, of course, were the context, the percentages that were given here in this case. So that's why that happened in that case. So that's why the standard deviation did not change for that example, unless we change the sample size, because that's part of the formula, but didn't do anything. All right, good, good. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Let's look at letter C here then. It says, let's take a look here. It says, would it be unusual for a random sample of 500 adult Americans to result in 210 or more who believe marriage is obsolete? So would it be unusual for a random sample of 500 adult Americans to result in 210 or more who believe marriage is obsolete? Okay, so this is kind of like a two-part question. First of all, we have to first say, would it be unusual? Okay, so we have a metric for unusual here. What was unusual again? What did unusual mean? What does unusual mean? What kind of threshold do we have for unusual? Does anybody remember? 0.05, right? It has to be less than 5%. That's correct. Okay, so that's very good. It has to be less than 5%, all right? Without a doubt, all right? So if this probability is less than 5%, that's fine. Yusuf, my dude, I'm doing well, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Now, the interesting part here is the other half. It says, okay, well, how do we find this particular probability? All right, so the question becomes is like, okay, this results in 210 or more believing that marriage is obsolete. This is, what's the probability that we have 210 or more people believing that's true? Well, the first thing that we have to figure out is what proportion are we looking at here of people who said yes to this question? Okay, right, less than 0.05. That's correct. So here we have p here is going to be equal to 210, and not p here, sorry. Here we're going to have 210 people said yes to our question, divided by 500. Okay, so 210 people out of 500 people said yes to this question, that they feel that marriage is obsolete. Fine. Well, if we divide that out as a percentage, that's going to equal 42%, or 0.42. Okay, now the important question here comes in the second half. What it's really asking us to find the probability of is, it says 210 or more believe that marriage is obsolete. So the key is 210 or more. Meaning to say we need to find the probability of 0.42 or 42% or more. Okay, so that's what we need to do in this particular case in order to go ahead and solve for this question here. So let's figure out how we do that here. We're going to do normal CD. We're going to do normal CDF. Actually, let's put it down here. All right, normal CDF, and so we want 0.42 or more. So we're going to take 0.42 for 42%. We're going to put a 1 here. Okay, so remember we're putting 1 for 100%. Remember, we're dealing with percentages here. It has to only goes up to 100%. And the other two guys here that we had from before will stay exactly the same. Okay, that stuff there does not change. Let me not act like a fool. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I need to learn how to write things on paint. Hard. It's so hard to put things on paint. I don't know. All right. So we're gonna have here. Put this in the calculator. We're gonna find out what we get. Let's do it. Okay. So let's put a second in vars here. Yeah, I'm writing with the mouse. It's the fastest way without having to switch like 5,000 times. So perfection is not what I do. All right, so we're gonna put 0.42, 1, 0.39, 0.39, and then our standard deviation here. Leave it like that. All right, and so here we get 0.0845. All right. And so the question is, would this be unusual? And the answer to that, based on Kylan and JD's response, would be no. This is not unusual. Right? This can't be unusual because it's above 5%. So it's 8% actually. All right. Okay. And that is the answer to that question. Okay. Any questions about that? Any questions? Any questions, you guys? No. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. All right, so that is what I wanted to kind of show off here for today. I didn't get to one example here. I'm not going to have time to show off another example. That other example for this section can be saved for on Wednesday. So I'm going to just show off one very quick example on Wednesday. It won't take us too much time, but I'm out of time here for today. But we're going to finish that up. That'll wrap up section 8.2. It'll be really quick. And then we're going to get right into chapter 9 here, which is what is going to be on the docket here for next time. So remember one important thing here. Remember, I did extend the due dates out here. If you weren't here earlier, I did extend the due dates out for the test and the homework there by a couple of days due to my math lab not being very friendly to everyone. So it's still probably in a bad way. I don't know, as it, I don't think it's improved in the past hour or so. At least you would hope that it did, but I don't think it probably did. Let's check. Give it a check here. See if it's acting up or not. Yeah, it's still acting up. Okay. Okay, so it's still in a pretty bad way. All right, so I don't know when they'll get around to fixing it. I have no idea. Um, yeah, it's not in a good way whatsoever. But hopefully they'll get that finished, and hopefully they'll fix it. Hopefully by tonight you'll have a couple more days of which to finish. So I'll be sending out emails and putting up a thing on D2L about the test and homework extension. So you should receive something soon in regards to that. Okay. So hopefully that is helpful for everyone. They don't have to feel like they're under the gun or anything like that. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? All right. Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys very much for coming on out here to the stream once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very much. All right, you guys are wonderfully patient with me. You guys, thank you so much for your opinions and time here today. I did update the D2L grades. Yes, I did. I did get things accomplished over break. I did. All right, I did do it. I got around to it, man. I did. I swear, I did exactly as you asked, JD. My good buddy. I swear. I know that was one of the things have forgotten to do, but no, I did definitely took some time and did it meticulously. Um. Maybe that's one thing I didn't do. I actually have to look at there's a lot of scores. I have to actually go through all those scores. I want to say roughly the class average was probably, now this is a guesstimate here, but based on what I saw, I'm guessing it was either mid 70s to upper 70s. Yeah, mid 70s to upper 70s would probably be like the class average for that test. And note, there's like 50 some odd scores for that test, so. But after looking over most of those scores, yeah, mid 70s to upper 70s would probably be probably around where the average is going to be, in all honesty. So if you got like right around a 75 to 77 or 78, then that's probably. I mean, I'd have to look at your score specifically, because obviously your score is different. But if you got something above a 75, then yeah, then you did pretty good. So 75, 77, it's something like that. So It could be, yeah. I'm thinking it's right around there. A 75. Yeah, think about a 75. Above a 75. To be fair, about-ish. It's my best guesstimation based on the scores that I've seen, so I don't want to say something definitive here, but, you know, I'm just kind of doing fudging math a little bit in my head about an average. There's literally 54 scores, but from the overall aspect, so. Yeah, if you did above 75, you did good. You did pretty good, yeah. Yeah, no question about it. And if you did good with the homework, remember the homework's worth a lot of points there, JD, so please be very careful. Okay? Make sure you do the homework as well. It's worth a chunk of points. All right. Hopefully that will answer your question there. I know you've been asking that for quite a while, but hopefully that will give you a good comparison. Yeah, try your best. If not today, if it's not done by tonight, you know, again, that's not a problem on your end. I'll continue to monitor the situation as it continues moving forward, but hopefully they'll finish it. Hopefully they'll finish fixing whatever they need to fix by today. So, is what my best hope is going to be. So we'll monitor how things go as we go along. So to be fair, you'll be kept in the loop for sure. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody here again for coming on out here to the stream. Again, the test has been extended a couple days. I need to make some D2L posts and get this done. All right. Thanks again, everyone, and we will see you in a couple of days on Wednesday. Okay, on Wednesday. All right. If you have questions for me, just ask on Discord or whatever. I will be on there since I can't get access to my math lab at the moment. So I'll try my best there on there. We'll go through that. All right. Take care of yourself. We will see you on Wednesday. All right. Take care, JD. Have a great one. Take care, everybody. Have a great one, everybody. Take care of yourselves. We will see you later. All right. See you on Wednesday, everybody. All right. Bye.